How many people?
I would just leave.
I'm leaving. Yeah, so.
All right, thank you guys. So today we're having our introduction to mainstream benefits for HUD project participant. So we're doing this training for a couple reasons. One is that HUD requires us to have a training such as this where we inform the community on the various benefits and resources available to you guys through the county and other organizations. The other reason is that, in the last year, I've had many conversations with you guys asking questions about, why is this person not eligible? What are the eligibility criteria for various benefits? So this is a wonderful opportunity for us to talk about those, those eligibility criteria. We have a great group of trainers today, some of the brightest, I think, in the county regarding mainstream benefits. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Liz Marr, who is a program manager in the Department of Social Services. Liz is going to take us through her portion of the training, and she's also going to introduce the other trainers for this presentation. Please, we're going to do all questions at the end of the training. So what you can do is you can either send your question in the chat, or you can wait until the end of the training and then you ask your questions. So, or you can just jot them down and then we'll take them at the end. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you, Liz. Thank you all.
Good morning, everybody. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so today I'm going to, and my colleagues are going to speak to you and take you through a brief overview of all of the multiple programs that we offer. Joining me will be Pilar Monsalve, the Program Administrator for Temporary Assistance, Marcia Bryant, the Medicaid Program Manager, Helena Hall, the Administrator for Employment, and Jamila Espinal, who is the Manager over in the Career Center. So we'll bring you through, and please, we'll take questions at the end. Thank you. So starting right away, we'll go into the temporary assistance programs. The main ones are temporary assistance. Wait, I'm sorry, go back a slide. Temporary assistance, SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, formerly known as food stamps, employment, SSI, and the New York State Supplement Program, SSP. Next slide, please. So we're also going to discuss some other assistance programs, also known as diversionary programs. So there's Medicaid MA, shortened for, and we have the MAGI and the non-MAGI, which Marcia will explain a little bit more on. We have the Home Energy Assistance Program, also known as HEAP, which is your energy utilities. Child Care Subsidy, Office of Temporary Housing Assistance, OTHA, Child Support, and Pandemic Emergency Assistance Programs, which we won't really go over, but this is a new benefit program that's coming into effect since the pandemic, and it looks like it's going to stay. Next slide, please. So temporary assistance is a cash benefit available to eligible men, women, and children. If you're not able to work, or you can't find a job, or your job doesn't pay enough, TA can help you meet basic expenses. It can also be used not on an ongoing basis, but as for an emergency or an immediate need, such as to prevent an eviction, or if you get a utility shutoff notice or some other type of emergency. Moving expenses would be considered among that. There are two main types of temporary assistance, and as I just said, they can be either ongoing or just to meet a temporary emergency. Next slide. So what are the two major temporary assistance programs? So there's FA, which is basically for any family with a child in it, and their parents or a guardian, or actually their parents. That's where they would get cash assistance, but it's limited to only 60 months. After that, they would go to another form of assistance. they're expected to comply with child support requirements and also to work if it's available or to go into a work readiness program. Next slide, please.
After you called it in.
So who's ever talking, please put yourself on mute. Thanks so much. So then the other main type of TA is safety net assistance, also known as SNA. So this is for your single childless couple, your single adults, your childless couples, children living apart from an adult relative, families with persons found to be abusing drugs or alcohol, families who are refusing the drug and alcohol screening, assessment, or treatment, and aliens who are eligible for temporary assistance but not eligible for other federal reimbursement. So this would be people who have TPS, temporary protected status, or PRUCOL aliens, they would, or other forms of immigration status that do not qualify for federal reimbursement. So recipients of SNA are determined to be able to work, have to comply with the work requirements. Generally, you can get SNA for 2 years, and then after that, we would go to non-cash assistance or restricted. So the money that you would be getting for your shelter would go directly to your landlord, the money for your utilities directly to the utility company. And so next slide, please, which will be presented by Pilar Monsalve.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I am Pilar Monsalve. Thank you, Liz. So I'm here to talk about TANF. What is TANF? TANF is temporary assistance for needy families, and it includes the following case types. So we have FA, which is family assistance. It's a case type 11, and it provides assistance to needy families that include a minor child living with a parent, including families where both parents are in the household, or a minor child living with a caretaker relative, or pregnant women who are medically verified with that EDC date, which is the expected date of confinement. We also have safety net assistance federally participating, which is known as Snfp. That's a case type 11, and it provides assistance to needy families that would normally fit into the family assistance criteria, but who have an individual who's not complying with certain alcohol and substance abuse requirements. They've been determined unable to work due to alcohol or substance abuse issues. So they would fall into the SNFP category. We also have emergency assistance to families, that's known as EAF, and that's a case type 19, and that's available to meet the emergency needs of families with children or pregnant women, just to deal with short-term emergencies, immediate needs that result from like a sudden occurrence. Next slide, please. So we also have safety net assistance. And what is safety net assistance? It's for individuals who are not eligible for FA, family assistance, and they may be eligible for safety net assistance. And here it's a case type 16 or 17. Safety net assistance provides assistance to the following: single adults and childless couples, children living apart from any adult relative, families of persons abusing alcohol or substances who are ineligible for federal reimbursement, families of persons refusing alcohol, substance abuse screening, assessment or treatment who are ineligible for federal reimbursement, persons who have exceeded that 60-month, 5-year time limit on TANF funded assistance, non-citizens who are eligible for temporary assistance, but they're not eligible for federal reimbursement. The following individuals are not eligible for safety net assistance. They're individuals and families who fail to comply with eligibility requirements for family assistance, EAF, emergency assistance to family, or SNA, which is safety net assistance. Individuals who are sanctioned are not eligible for SNA, sanctioned from FA, EAF, or SNA. And individuals eligible for refugee cash assistance, known as RCA, and ineligible non-citizens. So that's our safety net assistance category. So we offer different types of temporary assistance programs. So we have, like I said, the emergency temporary assistance program. So we have emergency assistance to families, that's EAF. We have emergency assistance to adults, that's known as EAA. We have emergency safety net assistance, known as ESNA. We also have ongoing temporary assistance programs. We have family assistance, which is FA, safety net federally participating, which is known as SNFP. We have safety net cash assistance, and we have safety net federally non-participating. So those are the different types of temporary assistance programs that we offer. So what is an emergency? So an emergency is an urgent need or situation that has to be taken care of right away. Some examples of emergencies are they're homeless. The applicant recipient is homeless. They have little or no food. Their landlord has told them that they have to move, or they've been given eviction papers. They don't have fuel for heating in the cold weather period. Their utilities are shut off, or they're about to be shut off. They have a 72-hour disconnect notice. Someone in their family has been physically harmed or threatened with violence by a partner, ex-partner, other household member. So that would be your domestic violence situations. If they're experiencing any emergency situation, they may be eligible for emergency assistance. So some examples of emergency assistance include payment of shelter arrears, payment of utility arrears, that fuel delivery, payment of domestic violence shelter costs, and temporary housing. We could cover costs for hotels and motels. So once the payments can be authorized once they're determined to be eligible for any of the following emergency assistance programs. So like I said, we have that emergency assistance to adults, EAA. That provides assistance for individuals and couples who have been determined eligible or receiving SSI or SSP payments, that state supplementation program payment. We have that emergency assistance to needy families, also known as EAF, and that provides assistance to meet the emergency needs of pregnant women and families with at least one child under age 18 or a child under age 19 if they're attending full-time secondary school. We also have that emergency safety net assistance program, which is known as ESNA, and that provides emergency assistance to single adults and childless couples. Just to note, aliens who don't have documents that permit them to reside legally in the US are eligible for only certain types of emergency benefits, and they do not have to be eligible for ongoing temporary assistance to receive emergency assistance help. Next slide, thank you. So these are the different types of payment considerations for emergency assistance. So just for example, for family assistance or safety net assistance payment consideration, if we can restrict future shelter payments, and they're not required to sign a repayment agreement. For EAF, current month, if they come in and their rent is late and we're in September, the current month, September, is not considered late until it's past due. So if they came in October for September, then we would say, okay, your rent is past due, but it's not late in the current month. For ESNA, they have to be within that income guideline. So they have to have gross monthly income on the data application that cannot exceed 125% of the federal poverty level guidelines for their household size. Some payment considerations for EAA, those are the recipients that are receiving SSI or SSP. We could pay up to 4 months of their shelter arrears. They're not limited to the maximum monthly shelter standards or the 5-year limit, and they're not required to sign a repayment agreement. And just to note, for EAF and ESNA, the payment is limited to a total of 6 months, once every 5 years. But if we determine that there is an additional shelter arrear payment that's necessary, we can do that. It's just based on individual case circumstances. So we can waive that 5-year limit. Thank you.
Thank you, Pilar.
You're welcome.
So what is eligibility based on? So eligibility, please mute. I keep hearing breakthrough noise.
Yeah, but I all the way down here.
Could we mute everyone, please?
Bison doing 80 miles an hour.
Thank you. So what is eligibility based on? Eligibility is based on household income, household size and composition, immigration status, the needs of the person, of the individual person or family, the age and or disability status of the applying members, the available resources, and cooperation with program requirements. And also these eligibility rules vary program to program. Like Pilar said, for ESNA, you would be eligible at 125%, whereas for Tanf, that goes up to 200%. So every case is on an individual basis and according to what criteria it falls into and what type of case type. Next slide. So the TA eligibility test. So as of October 1st, there used to be more eligibility tests that one would have to take before they would be deemed eligible, but now it's been reduced only to the net income needs test. And this is effective October 1st. The resources have increased. So they range from $2,500 per household or $3,750 for a household with an individual 60 or over or a disabled member. And again, guidelines vary program to program. Next slide. Here is the poverty guidelines, and they're set every year by the federal government. And so you see we're poverty level programs, so they're very low. So a household of one would have an annual income of $27,180. And this is the 200% of the federal poverty guidelines. So not all of the programs go up to this amount, but this would be like for your family, for your TANFs. A household of two would be $36,620. Next slide. And so how much do recipients need? So how much do recipients receive? So this is established by state law and regulation, and the maximum levels that you would get for, say, shelter are ridiculously low, but that's what has been set. They may go up this year, but right now it's set by the state law and regulation and in conjunction with federal law. So they're based on different circumstances and including the county of residence and household size. So if you live in New York, your standard of need allowance might be different than Westchester County. When members of the household have resources, that also, or even earned income from a job, that also affects the benefit level. Benefits are composed of allowances, and generally they determine the standard of need for a given household size. So these allowances include a basic needs allowance, a home energy allowance, and a shelter allowance, and a few other allowances like water, things like that. So basically it's your household needs minus your countable gross income, and that equals your grant amount. Next slide. And then how do you get your grants? So grants are issued electronically on a common benefit identification card, also known as a CBIC card. And this is an example of what they look like. And it's linked by the person's individual SIN number, client identification number, and people can check their resources. They can keep track of that. We encourage them to. Money management is always wonderful. And they can review up to 12-month transaction history. They can confirm their latest deposit, and they can change their PIN. And just because everybody's getting a copy of the PowerPoint, we have the toll-free number, which is open 24/7. So if somebody, needs to know, wants to get something, and they need to know what their balance is, they can check that. Next slide. And this is the SNAP. This is an example of what the SNAP application looks like. The different programs have different applications, and they'll ask for different things. The temporary assistance application is about 26 pages and asks so many questions. The SNAP application is abbreviated, and you can attest to certain things and don't have to show actual validation of that. So SNAP also issues electronic benefits to that card, and SNAP helps low income working families, senior citizens, and disabled feed their families. It goes up to basically 130% of the poverty level, but there are deductions, particularly for working families and for seniors and disabled, so the income levels appear higher. Next slide. So as I was saying, the SNAP income guidelines, they're also case by case, category by category. So the income levels will seem very low for a household with no elderly or disabled people who have no earned income. So that would be only $16,742 a year. Whereas if you're elderly, or I'm sorry, if you have earned income, that would go up to $19,320. And if there was an elderly or disabled person, they could get up to $25,764. And then the SNAP monthly benefits were raised last year. So they're $250, for a family of one, $459 for a family of two. Currently, every household is also getting an emergency allotment affiliated with COVID of about $95 a person. These amounts, the maximum benefit amounts, change every single year, an increase usually based on the Thrifty Food Plan, but we won't get too into that. So I'm going to turn it back over to Pilar. Next slide, please.
Hi, everyone. So how do I apply for temporary assistance? They can apply online at mybenefits.newyork.gov, or they could fill out the application form and file it at their local Department of Social Services. For temporary assistance, their interview should be within 7 working days of them filing an application. So for family assistance, they should be notified within 30 days of the date that they file their application, if they're approved or denied. And for safety net assistance, it's 45 days of the date the application was filed. If they need to be notified if it's approved or denied. Effective October 1st, for safety net assistance cases, that's going to go down to 30 days. So they should be told within 30 days of the date that they filed their application if they're approved or denied. And that's for safety net assistance effective October 1st. So these are the 3 pamphlets that should accompany every application given to an applicant recipient. These pamphlets give the customer information about the different social services programs. So we have 3 different books. Book 1 is what you should know about your rights and responsibilities. Book 2 is what you should know about social services programs. And book 3 is what you should know if you have an emergency. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this is known as the common application. With this application, you can apply for the different programs that we offer, assistance programs that we offer. Next slide. And like Liz said, this application is about 26 to 27 pages long, but this is the one, like I said, known as the common application, and you could use this to apply for public assistance, SNAP, Medicaid, child care services, emergency assistance. So this is just the first page of the application. This is just asking for general information, what type of assistance they need. And also in section 5 here, if they have any of these situations that apply to them, they could check it off, like pending eviction, no food, a victim of domestic violence. They would check it off here in section 5. This is our Medicaid application. This is an abbreviated version. So if they don't want to fill out the common application, which is 26 to 27 pages long, they could fill out this Access New York Healthcare Medicaid application, which is a very abbreviated version. This is for Medicaid. This is our HEAP application. So if they're coming in and they need assistance with utilities or with fuel delivery, they would fill out this application for home energy assistance, also known as HEAP. This is the application for child care assistance or child care subsidy. So if they need assistance with daycare, child care, they would fill this application out. And this is just specific to child care assistance. And these are some of the different types of documentation examples that may be required by that applicant recipient when they come and apply for benefits. So for identity, what would they need to provide? A photo ID, driver's license, US passport. If they're getting Social Security benefits, they could provide their current benefit check or current award letter. If they're getting unemployment, they could give official correspondence from the DOL, Department of Labor. So these are just some of the documentation examples that they can provide when they're applying for these different type of assistance programs. Okay, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'll be speaking to you about community Medicaid. And community Medicaid is exactly as it indicates on the screen. Basically, individuals that live in the community, not in a nursing home or assisted living, and also not, even though individuals that get home care and personal care, and most of the individuals live in this community, but they can also live in an assisted living facility. But in a nutshell, Medicaid is really in two sections since 2012. The MAGI aspect, which Liz mentioned earlier, and non-MAGI, meaning folks younger than 65 and folks older than 65. And so that's basically the two separate major categories. And within that category, there are additional subsections, many subsections of Medicaid. So Medicaid is a program for low-income individuals whose income and resources are below certain levels. Eligible populations include children, pregnant women, single individuals, families, and individuals certified blind or certified disabled. In addition, persons with medical bills may be eligible for Medicaid even if their income and resources are above the allowable Medicaid levels. That's through the that's the surplus program that this section is describing. And there are many different ways one can meet the eligibility or spend down to the Medicaid poverty level, the federal poverty level. Only certified blind individuals, certified disabled individuals, and individuals over 65 will have a resource test. That's the non-MAGI category. The MAGI category, individuals 64 and younger, there will be no resource test for Medicaid. Children and families may be eligible for Child Health Plus, Family Health Plus, if they are not eligible for Medicaid. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I will be discussing employment. Applicants or recipients receiving TA are required to participate in work activities. They can be exempt from participating in work activities if they meet one of the following New York State exemptions, which is listed: if they're ill or injured, if they're 60 years of age or over, if they're under 16 or under the age of 19 and attending a secondary school, if they're disabled, needed in the home, pregnant and within 30 days of delivery, or the parent or caretaker of a child under 1. The different types of TA work activities are work experience, on-the-job training, job readiness training, vocational education, job skills training, educational training, high school or other activities as approved by the district plan. The benefits of employment are child care assistance for children up to age 13, transportation assistance. Next slide, please. Thank you. The employment benefits, like I said, child care assistance, transportation assistance, vocational education, job readiness, job skills training, work experience, subsidized or unsubsidized employment, work-related expenses such as clothing, equipment, or tools, which we would help them with, and transitional benefits such as SNAP, Medicaid, and childcare. Next slide. The employment process. The customer submits an application for TA. They are then assessed during the application by employment staff, with the customer presenting any barriers to employment or to participating in a work activity. A determination is made if the customer is exempt or non-exempt. The customer is responsible to comply with all employment and engagement activities assigned by the department as a condition of eligibility. If the customer is non-exempt or employable, the customer is referred to an employment counselor or the Urban League Putting Westchester to Work case manager to help find employment or to prepare for employment. The customer is then prepared for employment by assigning the customer to a training program, the Career Center or JobStar, and that will help them obtain skills or improve their skills. If they already have skills, the employment counselors will help them do job search, job matching, resume writing, and interviewing skills. Next slide. Continuing with the employment process, if the customer is exempt or not employable, they are referred to the Urban League Heal, Empower, and Lift case manager. The Heal case manager monitors the customer's medical condition with a monthly treatment plan filled out by the customer's doctors, with progress monitored by Heal until the customer becomes employable. If the customer is permanently disabled, Heal refers the customer to Maximus in order to help the customer apply for Social Security benefits. Maximus is a program that helps customers through the Social Security application process. There are some customers who are exempt and cannot work for other reasons, such as taking care of a newborn child, taking care of a disabled family member, attending a drug and alcohol program, or being of advanced age. These customers are exempt for limited time periods, and it all depends on their individual circumstance. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jamila Espinal from the Westchester Putnam Career Center Network. This is our service overview. And remember, to find the right job, it pays to be connected. We have 4 Career Center locations. Each center enables job seekers to access computer labs, perform online job search, perform resumes, apply for positions, and participate in workshops. In addition, there are state DOL, county, and community partner staff to assist with the job readiness and job search process. This is the Career Center in Mount Vernon at 130 Mount Vernon Avenue, which many of the DSS customers are familiar with because DSS Office of Work Activities staff are co-located with Career Center staff. The Career Centers are guided through funding and policy by WIOA, Work Investment Opportunity Act. The legislation passed in 2014 is designed to strengthen and improve the public workforce by helping job seekers overcome barriers to access employment, education, training, and support services so that they can succeed in the labor market. The Career Center services everyone. But WIOA has priority of service populations, which includes veterans, public assistance recipients, single parents, older adults, foster care youth, limited English speakers, those with basic skills proficiency, and customers with criminal justice involvement. Next. Here's another slide of some of the populations. The network includes numerous providers from government, educational institutions, community service providers, and businesses. Some of them are listed here, but the network is extremely vast, and we are continuously seeking to partner with any agency or provider that can help to move our customers towards self-sufficiency. When job seekers register for Career Center activities, they can expect the following: attend an orientation, meet with an employment counselor, utilize our website, create an online job seeker account, post their resume, search for jobs, utilize our resource room, attend workshops. Our workshops previously were in person, but now we're partnering with DOL to do virtual workshops. They can also apply for training, attend job fairs, and follow our social media feeds. The Career Center has three main methods of service delivery. Number one, self-service. You can utilize our resource room to search for jobs, work on your resume. You can also listen in on some of our virtual DOL workshops. You can also attend job fairs, and all of our customers must sign in. Due to COVID currently, we are still practicing social distancing, and customers are advised to wear a mask. Next, staff assisted. In our centers, we have staff, as mentioned before, that will assist you if you need to fax, print, or copy. They can also assist you with mock interviewing and also assist you with job referrals. Intensive services. Intensive services means you're meeting with a one-on-one case manager, an employment counselor. They're going to perform a comprehensive assessment, and they're looking to put you on a career pathway and guide you towards job matching. So they're also going to be looking at whatever training opportunities are for you and to see if you meet the eligibility. Working with the Career Center is a great opportunity for job seekers to access free to low-cost training opportunities. There are some of our graduates from one of our previous classes. Next. The training opportunities enable job seekers to embark on career pathways. This journey may begin with a job or completely maybe basic education. Then the job seekers are supported through on a career pathway, which many times is accompanied by a certificate, a license, and sometimes even a degree. So you could start off as a HHA working on your GED, and when you're on your career pathway, we have some customers who've ended up being RNs, phlebotomists, or some other type of technical healthcare field. Next slide. So, as mentioned before, we also have an arm of our unit that works with youth, and they really work with the youth on education and employment. Many of the direct services are provided by our community partners who work with our folks, sometimes depending on the program, up to 24 or 26 years old. Some of the DSS customers may be familiar with our next slide, our summer youth program for Tanf customers. Summer Youth Employment Program. Then we have some of our youth participating in our job fairs. The youth, they get tutoring services, work experience opportunities, mentoring, financial literacy, job placement. Next slide. In addition to these other services, and really key is number 14, transitioning to post-secondary education. If we can get them when they're young, they will continue to receive these services well into early adulthood. How can job seekers be most successful when working with the career centers? They should be job ready. And what does job ready mean? Desire to work, open to opportunities, willing to go on interviews, willing to be trained, expand education, willing to take and follow instruction, presentable and grooming, someone with realistic goals about employment, and someone who's open to, constructive criticism, because we really truly are here to help people to move forward towards self-sufficiency. All customer activity is tracked and reported in OSOS, the one-stop operating system. Our performance measures are shared with our partners at DSS. Customers must remain engaged with a 90-day activity to remain active. Very important to note, Career Center staff do not have the ability to leverage or withhold benefits to mandate compliance. Performance measures are based solely on the spirit of cooperation and personal accountability of our customers. So what does that mean? That means we cannot refer you for non-compliance like our DSS family investment counterparts. So how does this process usually work? The customers start off with DSS eligibility, family investment. Customers are then filtered through Office of Work Activities. The employment counselors from that department will refer eligible customers to our career centers, primarily in Mount Vernon, where they're co-located, but we also have staff at our White Plains office at 120 Bloomingdale Road. Here is a screenshot of our overview of services in our customer registration packet. Here are some more pictures from our packet. And here are some more pictures of some job fairs that we've done. One of our partners, BOCES, we're very happy to announce that they will be starting an ESL and basic computer class at our White Plains location at 120. Prior to the pandemic, they had ESL and task classes that were held in person. But going forward, next slide. There is a registration process and there's a lot of information. There's so much that the Career Center does. What I've spoken to you today really speaks to the job seeker portion and what relates really to DSS customers or any other customers that are in need. But there's another business section that is a whole nother presentation. But the best thing to do to get started is to call us at 914-813-6555, and you can get a lot more really helpful information at westchesterputnamonestop.com. Thank you.
Hi again. Supplementary security. What is it? There are two federal disability programs, Social Security Disability Insurance and SSI, which is also called Supplementary Security Income. Social Security Disability is a federal disability income program for adults who have worked and now find themselves unable to work due to disability. Supplementary Security Income is a federal program also for adults and children who meet the definition of disabled and have limited income and resources. It is designed to help the aged, blind, and disabled people who have little or no income, and it provides cash to meet basic needs for food, clothing, and shelter. And so what is Social Security? Well, Social Security is designed to pay retired workers age 65 or older a continuing income after their retirement. In 1939, the Survivors Insurance for Families of Deceased Worker Act came about. It was introduced. Then in 1956, disability insurance for disabled workers and their family members was also introduced. 1965, Medicare providing health insurance for individuals and their families became law. And SSI, 1972, Supplementary Security Income is a needs-based program that provides cash assistance to people with limited income and resources that are blind, disabled, or age 65 or older. Children with disabilities can also get SSI. And so who does the Social Security Administration serve? Well, statistics states that they serve 61 million beneficiaries. 1 in 6 Americans currently receive Social Security benefits. 1/3 are disabled, And it also, that 1/3 also includes their dependents or survivors. 43.9 retired workers and dependents receive income and other benefits from Social Security. 10.7 million disabled workers and their dependents, and 6 million survivors of deceased workers. Social Security is the most successful domestic government program in our country's history. That speaks volume, in my opinion. Now, supplementary security income. Social Security disability insurance pays benefits if you are insured, meaning that you worked long enough, 40 qualifying quarters, and you paid Social Security taxes. The benefits are based on the individual's lifetime average earnings covered by Social Security. Social Security disability insurance benefits are paid starting 6 months from the onset of the disability, but no more than 12 months prior to the application date. A claimant receives monthly benefits deposited directly into their bank account or on a Social Security Administration Direct Express card. SSI pays a monthly benefit based on financial needs, income, and resources. SSI benefits may be paid from the month of applications. A claimant receives monthly benefits deposited directly into their bank account or SSA direct deposit card. Supplementary security income is a federal program. Social Security administers this program. SSI pays monthly benefits to people with limited income and resources who are disabled, blind, 65 of age or older. Blind or disabled children may also get SSI. The location of the office, the main location, is 20 South Broadway, 10th floor, Yonkers, New York. And it opens 9 through 5. As you can see, the phone number is on the screen, 1-800-772-1213. The TTY for individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing is also there, 800-325-0778. There, just a tidbit of information. There are other locations as well. I know of an additional location in Rochelle, but I'm sure there are others as far if an individual wants to walk in and be closer as opposed to going to Yonkers. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. SOAR is the Social Security Disability Insurance Outreach, Access, and Recovery Program. So what is SOAR? SOAR aims to secure that a complete and thorough SSI, SSDI application is submitted to the Social Security Administration on behalf of eligible adults and children who are at risk of homelessness and have a serious mental illness, mental impairment, medical impairment, and or co-occurring substance use disorder, so that this, in order to maximize the chances of getting SSDI benefits as soon as possible. This is diversionary, and it's also in the interest of the person because the Social Security benefits are often or going to be much higher than the temporary assistance income they would get. This doesn't mean that the person, once they get SSD or SSI, can still get other programs like SNAP or child care or HEAP or those programs, but it will divert them from getting temporary assistance, and also they'll be better off because they'll usually be getting more benefit money, or always be getting more benefit money. So, And if they do get this, they can always apply for emergency assistance too, if they have an emergency like rent eviction or a utility shut off. So the TA, so getting back to the SOAR program, TA applicants who are potentially eligible to qualify for SSD or SSDI must pursue SSI or SSDI as a condition of initial and continued TA eligibility. So the applicant really is not going to get a choice. They either, well, they either can apply for the Social Security benefits, or they can not be eligible for our program. We will, if somebody cooperates, do an interim assistance. But anyway, so a letter from a SOAR case manager indicating that the person, the applicant, is utilizing and cooperating with the SOAR process is sufficient to verify initial compliance with that requirement to apply for SSI, SSDI. Next slide. So the applicant has a protective filing date also that allows the TA applicants and recipients who apply for SSI within 60 days of signing a TA application or recertification form to use that TA application or recert as an SSI application date. So if they come in on September 1st and apply for TA, if they SSI, Social Security Administration, will take that date instead of a future date. So if they apply on September 1st for TA, but then don't apply for SSI until September 19th, the SSI would go back to 9/1. Establishing a protective filing date benefits the applicant because they may be eligible for 2 additional months of SSI eligibility. It's another benefit. So the screening and identification process for identifying individuals who may qualify for SSI, SSDI would include a procedure of reevaluating a person's condition when their SSI application is denied. For more information, look at OTID DAS 08 ADM 05 SSI. Next slide. So as I said, here is what some of the benefits look for SSI. Remember, SSI is a lower paying benefit than SSDI, but it still will pay more than temporary assistance. So you see, for people living in the community, that would be $841 a month for one person. For a couple, $1261. If they're living in a household with an individual would get $560.67. The couple would get $840.67. If they're living in a Medicaid institution, like a congregate care facility, they would get personal needs allowance of $30, but that would mean that all of their other needs are met from that institution. So they wouldn't have to pay for rent or anything like that. That's being paid in the institution. Next slide. So the New York State Supplement program, SSP, basically it provides a little bit of extra money for those who are deemed to be, whose SSI amount is, very low. So it's a state-funded assistance to aged, blind, and disabled individuals, and it complements their monthly SSI benefit. So you have to submit an application for federal SSI benefits, and this will also serve as your application for the supplement benefits. And you can do that at the Social Security office. And you can also call 800 number and at their website. There's no online SSI application, but you do have to schedule an appointment with the local Social Security office in order to start the process. So next slide. So SSI, SSP. So eligibility. You are eligible for SSP if you are 65 or older, blind or disabled, or a child under the age of 18 who has physical or mental impairments, and you reside in New York State, and you have limited income and resources, and you are a citizen or qualified alien or otherwise meet citizenship requirements. So this would be legal aliens and some refugees and some people with different visa statuses, but not all people of citizenship. Your TPS people would not qualify, your Prupol aliens would not qualify, some of the other alien categories would not qualify. So 65 or older, blind or disabled, or 18 or younger with a medical impairment, residing in New York State, low income and resources, and qualifying status. Next slide. So I'm going to turn it back to Craig, and he will conclude our presentation. Thank you. We did great on time.
Yes, yes. And I really want to thank, first of all, for the group of trainers who presented today. I put this to them maybe a couple weeks ago, and on top of all their other responsibilities, they were able to pull the information together. A very good information, I thought, and hopefully helpful to you all. So thank you all. Thank you all for participating in the training. We do have some time for questions, so don't worry, but could you go back a screen? There on our screen, and we will send this PowerPoint out to everybody. And just a reminder that this training will be uploaded on our COC website. It was a lot of information. We realized that, so you can review it. And when you have new staff, they can also review it on our COC website. This is a list of our district offices: Mount Vernon, Peekskill, White Plains, and Yonkers. If you're not familiar with them, you know, there's the numbers and the addresses for our district offices, where it's generally the first line, the first place where customers would go to apply for services when they are in need and when they have an emergency situation, as we discussed earlier in the training. Next slide. Career Center location was also given out. And so here you have the locations of our career centers. Again, anyone who needs employment, you know, they should go ahead and apply. They don't need to have certain criteria met. Just go ahead and apply, and they'll be connected. Tons of great resources in our career center. So with that, any questions? Did you guys write down your questions? Do we have any questions in the chat we can throw out to our presenters now?
So far, we have one question in the chat. The question is from Mohammed. Is there a contact number for emergency situations?
That would be for somebody who's applying for, who needs to apply for emergency services or TA or something like that. I would imagine that's Mohammed's question. Liz,
I believe so.
Liz, what would be the best way for someone who has a question about applying for emergency assistance, or what would be the best number for them to call?
So if somebody has an emergency, such as rent arrears or utility shutoff, domestic violence, they're homeless, you know, they need moving assistance, their best bet would be to go to the local district office, not apply online. If they want to call ahead if they're unsure about what documents to bring, they can call 995-3333 and they can guide them. But you would really want to go in person to the local district office serving that community.
Thank you. Was there any other questions in the chat?
No, no questions.
Sure.
I got one. I'm sorry.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
I got one question, private message to me. Can clients apply for assistance at Peekskill District Office? I ask because I am often informed by clients that they cannot.
Well, Liz can always back me up on this, but really it's based on where you live. If you live in Yonkers, you want to go to the Yonkers District Office. If you live in Mount Vernon, you can go to the Mount Vernon District Office. There are certain places like Mamaroneck who are not clear cut at what district office you need to apply at, but you can always call the number that Liz mentioned, 3333 to find out where you need to apply based on where you live. So you want to apply to the district office that covers the area where you live. So if you live in Peekskill, you do need to go to the Peekskill district office to apply. Anything to add to that, Liz?
No, that's correct, except that Mamaroneck is served by the Mount Vernon District Office.
Correct.
So if you're homeless though, ideally you would go to 85 Court Street. But for everyone else, they would go to the office that serves their catchment area. So if you lived in Peekskill or communities above Peekskill, you would go to the Peekskill District Office. If you, but you really don't even, aside for the emergencies, you really don't have to go to the district offices. You can apply online at mybenefits.newyork.gov, which is your best bet. And the interviews are now telephonic. So the person will get a call and that will be the interview. So you also want to tell your customers that if they do apply online, they need to accept phone calls. Otherwise, they're going to miss their interview and that would be grounds for denial. So the best bet is to apply online at mybenefits.newyork.gov. It saves on their time, it saves on gas and bus transportation, and it's good for the environment. So apply online and answer your phone because it could be your DSS interview. If you have an emergency though, you would go to the district office. So that would be Peekskill. You can definitely apply for emergency assistance in Peekskill as long as that's the office that coincides with where you live. You can go to 85 Court Street, whether you're homeless or not. If you live in that area, like say Portchester, White Plains, Terrytown, you would go to Yonkers if you live in Yonkers. You would go to Mount Vernon if you live in Mount Vernon or Mamaroneck or those surrounding communities, Pelham. But your best bet, if it's for ongoing TA and not emergency or another one of the benefits like SNAP or anything, is to apply online. And that website, mybenefits.newyork.gov, gives a very detailed overview of all of the programs that you can get, and it walks you through the program with the online application. I also wanted to mention, since childcare is so important, childcare benefits can also be used if somebody's going. Now we've changed the Westchester County Child and Family Services Plan to include childcare for training, for ESL courses, for somebody going to a 2-year degree college or a certificate program or a 4-year college. So you want to, get people set up to win and succeed. And by getting them set up with childcare so that they can take these job readiness courses, or better yet, if they're employed, they will be in a better position to succeed if they apply for childcare. And you can apply for childcare, not online, but you can get, if you call 995 3333, you can ask them to direct you to childcare, and they can, that's a mail-in application and you don't have an interview, so you don't have to answer calls. But that's how you would go about applying. So Peekskill, definitely you can go in for emergency services or ongoing, but the mybenefits.newyork.gov is the best way to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Any other
questions? We have a couple more questions in the chat. How do we get assistance with applying for community Medicaid for a client that's over 65?
Hi there. Community assistance. Maximus is instrumental these days in the office, and they sometimes assist individuals with completing the applications. They're in all the district offices. They're typically, there's a booth, they're given a booth, and to really find out where they're seated, you should probably ask the receptionist. In addition to that, there are also local programs such as there are additional local programs, although that assist individuals with completing the applications. Oh dear.
That would be your facilitated enrollers. But for, sorry, Marcia, but just.
No. Some of the HMOs do assist as well,
Yeah.
but there are also programs that in the community, I just don't have the information with me. Can I have your number? I can get back to you with that question.
We can actually, I can actually blast it out, Marcia, so that everybody has the information. So I'll collect it from you and then we can share it with everybody. Thanks.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, the next question is, if a customer lives in New Rochelle, and can they apply for Social Security at the New Rochelle office? Or, I mean, if they live in Yonkers, can they apply in the New Rochelle office?
No, they would have to go to, there is no New Rochelle office. If they live in Yonkers, they should go to the Yonkers district office. If they live in New Rochelle, they should go to the Mount Vernon district office, or better yet, apply at mybenefits.newyork.gov.
For Social Security benefits?
For Social Security, no, that's Social Security is a federal program. Our SOAR program and Maximus will help people who are applying for temporary assistance apply for Social Security. But if somebody just wants to per se apply for Social Security and isn't interested in any of our programs, they would need to go to the Social Security office or call them up and apply in that manner. We're not Social Security, we're not the federal government, we're New York State and local government. We're really local government under the operating under OTDA, the New York State rules and regulations.
I think that question was specifically towards Social Security. So we really cannot answer that question if that individual could apply in New Rochelle. So I would recommend that the individual call the 800 number that we gave out, that was given out, 800-772-1213, in order to determine if an individual living in Yonkers can apply in New Rochelle. At least that's the way I heard the questions.
Okay, I was referring to applying in the district office, but you could be right. But if for a federal program, they can apply anywhere. Not in our offices, but in any SS Social Security office. Thank you. And Marcia is right, please call that number.
Great, thank you. Other questions?
Okay, the next question is, if a client is sanctioned, is there a time limit when they have to come back to DSS to reapply?
It depends. You can continue receiving, your family unit can continue receiving assistance while you're sanctioned, or you could get a reduced sanctioned benefit. You don't necessarily, in some instances, have to have your benefits stop. There are some instances like intentional program violations, especially on like the third time, where you might be disqualified or fourth time, you might be disqualified permanently, but that's a case-by-case thing. So it's not like one answer that what we can give for that.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Sure, Yoav. Oh, how are you?
Good morning. So you referred to both in the slides and just talking to SOAR case managers or access to SOAR. Where are the SOAR case managers that our clients can access? Is that Maximus? Are Maximus case managers SOAR trained and SOAR certified, or is SOAR accessed some other way?
I can answer the first part of Yoav's question because I just actually spoke to Maximus. They are SOAR trained and SOAR certified. and they actually do trainings, and they get they get updated trainings every 6 to 9 months.
And they're entering data into the SOAR database, National SOAR database.
I'd have to verify that piece of it.
Okay. So when that slide that said people that are disabled, people who are judged disabled need a letter from a SOAR case manager, that's Maximus staff that the letter comes from normally. Would that the intent of that slide?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
So there was a slide where clients that are judged to be exempt and disabled need to show that they're applying for SSI using a letter from a SOAR case manager that they're participating.
Right.
So when you that bullet point in the slide was referring to Maximus staff.
Correct. In Westchester
Okay.
County, Maximus is assisting in that, is meeting that regulatory requirement.
And so, thank you. My other question is, clients that are residents of either the 24-hour shelters or drop-in shelters, that are literally homeless or living on the streets and are literally homeless, are they, subject to income requirements? Are they automatically eligible for TA?
Well, that's an individual case by case. It's not everybody who walks into the district office and says that they're homeless would be eligible. If they walked into like Elon Musk, for example, he doesn't have a home. He says he's homeless, yet he's the richest man in the world. So if he walked into the office, he has resources and income that are way above anyone else's on the planet. So he would not be eligible despite the fact that he says he's homeless. So that is a case by case basis. And we would have to consider what their income and resources are at that time. For emergency assistance, there are higher levels, but it's a case by case basis. So I can't just like give you like a cutoff for everybody's based on what their particular situation is at that time.
Okay. And that, obviously, that would apply to permanent supportive housing residents as well. It's based on their income.
And resources, right. So if they came in and they had $10,000 resources, we may say, you're going to have to spend your $10,000 down to where you're eligible on, use that. You're expected to use your resources on, supporting yourself until you, spend your resources down to where you would be in an eligible level.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify some of the places that one can apply in addition to Maximus. New Rochelle Community Action Group, 95 Lincoln Avenue. It's 665-2539. There's the Mount Vernon Community Action Group. Their telephone number is 664-8680. There's a Mount Vernon Neighborhood Health Center. There is Mount Vernon Hospital. Also Sound Shore Medical Center Hospital. And I have other names, but their information has not been verified recently. So I don't know if they continue to assist. But thank you. That's all for now.
Thank you, Marcia.
A couple of new questions in the chat. Ashley Gordon asked, who would we need to speak with regarding getting a client a home health aide within the shelter?
Their caseworker.
So DSS, their DSS district office caseworker.
Right, Marcia, do you have anything to
In
add?
Medicaid, their caseworker in Medicaid, an individual that needs a home health aide, if they have active Medicaid, they would need to get their case transferred from community Medicaid to home care Medicaid or personal care Medicaid. And that starts the ball rolling with getting that individual an assessment for home health aid. They'd have to be assessed, even though the case is already active. A worker would assess the individual's eligibility for home care assistance. Once the individual has been found eligible, the case will get transferred to a separate location and maintained at 112 East Post Road. Now, it involves caseworkers, a nurse going out to the community, to the location of where the individual is, to speak to them, take a look at them, and assess their particular situation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Additional
As a
questions?
follow-up question, he was already assigned a home health aide before he was placed. Does this process need to be done again?
Not at all. Unless there are issues. If the person not show up on time, did they not show up at all? Are they not doing what they're supposed to be doing? That would be a conversation. A conversation would be needed with the case worker for that particular individual.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Ashley's asking if she can talk to you, Marcia, directly.
Oh, absolutely. My number is 995-6675. And you can email me, mmbsex@westchestergov.com.
Okay, so I have a question. I'm sorry to keep you waiting. I'm going back with Ashley's question about having someone, I'm out there. I'm working at a shelter. And I have a question in the sense of an home health aide coming with the person in the shelter. You know, the shelter have guidelines that they're not there all day. So I don't know how it works with a home health aide in a shelter. Can you clarify that for me, please?
Well, I honestly, I cannot answer that question pertaining to the shelter because I don't have the regulations. And I'm not familiar with the regulations pertaining to the shelters ins and out. It's possible that the individual may need to be placed in an assisted living environment or similar. There are many levels of living arrangements for individuals as far as housing is concerned. So my guess is that the individual may have to be removed from the shelter and into some other facility where an attendant can go freely and administer whatever services the individual needs.
Thank you very much.
And you know, to be specific, but you know what? She can email me. This is not the forum to give her specifics.
And also just to add to that, you know, OTHA would work with the needs of that individual to have them placed in the appropriate facility where their medical needs could be met. So that's certainly Miguel's shop, our shop, and it's also a case-by-case situation, but we certainly would make sure that the client is able to get whatever medical needs and care that they need.
Annette at Lifting Up Westchester asks, one issue that we have is when a client applies for emergency assistance and has to wait 30 to 45 days for approval. By that time, they will have lost services such as possible apartments for their services shut off. Is there any way to get around that?
Well, the good news is that the waiting period has been reduced from 45 to 30 days effective 10/1. So that's one thing. But that's really like a case by case basis. So you work collaboratively with Craig's office and with DSS offices. So that's one of the things that we can continue working on, but the lowering of the wait time from 30 to 45 days and elimination will help out greatly.
Yeah. And just to add to that, Liz is right. That's one of the common concerns that we get here in my office. The customer needs A, B, and C in order to move. And certainly we want to be able to facilitate that. We are sometimes able to reach out to the caseworker who might not be aware that, this is a time sensitive case. So we try to intervene the best we can to expedite the process. The other thing to remember is that, DSS caseworkers have tons and tons and tons of cases. So they need 30 days on a normal situation to be able to evaluate these cases accurately and make sure that each individuals meet the state and federal guidelines for a program. They can't just authorize. So that piece, I think, sometimes is missed. That these caseworkers, they have a big caseload and they can't always expedite things in 5 days, 10 days, 15 days. They can't do that for every case. But again, if you have a specific situation and, we want the same thing you guys want. We want to make sure the customer is independent and they get what they need to be self-sufficient and healthy. So reach out to myself and LaTanya and our team, and then we will reach out to the district offices. One thing that to be in mind, that you do need a release from the customer. You need to send that with your request to us for assistance. Any other questions?
I don't see any.
Okay. Well, I think this training was very helpful. We went up to it 99 folks and we have 93 still on the line. So that's great. We would love to hear, we'll send you guys a survey. We would love to hear your feedback on this training. Was it helpful? Was it not? Would you like similar types of trainings? I forgot to introduce myself at the beginning of this training because I was so excited about it. My name is Craig Wong. I'm a program administrator with DSS. I'm also the COC co-chair. So I want to thank you all for your questions, your participation. Last chance, any other questions?
I'll just make a reminder that on Thursday, this Thursday at 10 a.m., Annette and some other staff at DCMH are going to be giving a training on the services available through DCMH and partners for COC participants, including mental health services, substance abuse treatment, and developmental disability services. That's at 10 a.m. This Thursday, September 22nd. If you don't have the invitation and the link, please reach out to us and we can give it to you. It's also on the COC website.
Great. And again, this training will be uploaded to the website for you guys to review at a later date. I want to thank you guys again for your time and participation. And I especially want to thank our excellent presenters for the wonderful information they shared. Thank you all and have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Craig.
Thank you.